Throughout history, certain texts have been deemed too dangerous to exist. Books that reveal the names of fallen angels, gospels that challenge everything the church teaches, grimoires that claim to give you power over demons, planets, and even God himself. Some were burned, others locked away in vaults where sunlight never reaches, and a few survived, hidden, copied in secret, passed between mystics, heretics, and those brave or foolish enough to read them. Today, you're going to discover 7 texts that kingdoms tried to erase, that the church condemned as heresy, and that scholars claimed could drive readers insane. These aren't myths. They're real books. Some you can still find today. Others remain sealed behind doors that require permissions you'll never get. Because knowledge isn't always power. Sometimes it's a curse. Welcome back to the Shadow Archives. We've explored creatures, symbols, and haunted places. Today, we open the Forbidden Library. Because humanity's most dangerous ideas weren't spoken, they were written down. These 7 texts represent knowledge that authorities, religious, political, and even academic, tried to suppress. Some contain rituals. Others reveal secrets about history the church preferred to keep hidden. And a few claim to unlock powers that should remain locked. This is just the surface. Each text could fill hours of investigation. But first, you need to know they exist and why they were forbidden. If you're ready to unlock knowledge that others feared, subscribe. Because once you know what's written in these pages, you can't unknow it. Let's descend into the archive. Text 1, the Book of Enoch. We begin with the Book of Enoch, a text so controversial it was removed from the Bible. Enoch was Noah's great-grandfather. According to Genesis, he walked with God and was taken to heaven without dying. But what did he see there? What did God show him? The Book of Enoch answers those questions, and the church didn't like the answers. The text describes the Watchers, 200 angels who descended to earth, took human women as wives, and fathered the Nephilim, giants who corrupted humanity and forced God to send the flood. But it goes further. Enoch names the angels, gives their ranks, describes their sins. Azazel taught humans to make weapons and cosmetics. Shemyaza led the rebellion. Barakel taught astrology. And then, Enoch is taken on a tour of heaven and hell. He sees chambers where fallen angels are imprisoned. He witnesses the tree of life, and he's shown visions of the apocalypse in vivid, terrifying detail. Early Christians accepted this book as scripture. It's quoted in the New Testament. But by the 4th century, church councils removed it. Why? Because it contradicts official doctrine. It suggests angels have free will and can rebel. It describes a cosmology the church couldn't control. And it gives names to demons, making them real, not abstract. The Book of Enoch survived only in Ethiopia, where the Ethiopian Orthodox Church still considers it canon. It wasn't rediscovered in the West until the 1700s. And when scholars translated it, they realized early Christianity had been very, very different. We'll explore the Watchers, the Nephilim, and Enoch's visions in detail. But next, texts that were hidden even closer to home. Text 2, the Apocryphal Gospels. The books about Jesus that didn't make it into the Bible. Most people know the 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. But there were dozens of others. Written by early Christians, circulated in the first centuries after Christ's death. Then, in the 4th century, church councils decided which books were canon and which were heresy. The rejected ones, destroyed, burned, lost, or so they thought. In 1945, Egyptian farmers discovered a jar buried near Nag Hammadi. Inside, 13 leather-bound codices containing over 50 texts, including the Gospel of Thomas, 114 sayings of Jesus, no birth story, no crucifixion, just teachings. Some identical to the canonical Gospels, others very different, including sayings that suggest secret knowledge. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene describes Mary as Jesus' closest disciple. Peter is jealous of her. Jesus gives her teachings he doesn't give the male apostles. The implication: women held authority in early Christianity. The church erased that. The Gospel of Judas portrays Judas not as a traitor, but as Jesus' most loyal disciple. Jesus asked Judas to betray him. It was part of the plan. Judas was the only one who understood. Why were these banned? Because they challenged the power structure. If Mary Magdalene was an apostle, why can't women be priests? If Judas was following orders, is he in hell or heaven? If salvation comes through secret knowledge rather than faith, what's the point of the church? The Apocryphal Gospels reveal a Christianity that was diverse, debated, and far more complex than what survived. Each Gospel deserves its own deep dive. But now, we turn to a text that's less about salvation and more about damnation. Text 3. Codex Gigas, the Devil's Bible. Codex Gigas, the largest medieval manuscript in existence, 310 pages, 165 pounds, 3 feet tall, also known as the Devil's Bible. It was created in the 13th century in a Benedictine monastery in Bohemia. But the legend of how it was made is darker than the text itself. A monk broke his monastic vows and was sentenced to be walled up alive. Desperate, he made a deal. If he could create the most magnificent book ever written in a single night, his life would be spared. The abbot agreed, knowing it was impossible. The monk began writing, but as midnight approached, he realized he couldn't finish. So he prayed. To the devil, Satan appeared, and in exchange for the monk's soul, he completed the book before dawn. When the abbot entered the monk's cell in the morning, he found the book finished. And on one full page, taking up the entire sheet, a massive illustration of the devil himself. The monk's soul was gone, but the book remained. Is the legend true? Probably not. Historians believe the book took 20 to 30 years to complete and was written by a single scribe. But here's what's strange. The handwriting never changes. The script is perfectly uniform across hundreds of pages. For a manuscript that size, created over decades, that's unusual. The Codex contains the entire Latin Bible, historical texts, medical formulas, exorcism rituals, and that full-page portrait of the devil, grinning, clawed, and staring directly at the reader. Opposite the devil page, a depiction of the heavenly city, good and evil, facing each other. The book passed through monasteries, kingdoms, and wars. During the 30 Years' War, it was taken to Sweden, where it remains today in the National Library. Visitors who see it in person report feeling uneasy. Some say the devil's eyes follow them. The Codex holds secrets in its margins and formulas. We'll decode them. But next, knowledge from the Islamic world that Europe tried to suppress. Text number 4, the Picatrix. The Picatrix, a grimoire of astral magic from the Islamic Golden Age. Written in Arabic in the 11th century, it's one of the most comprehensive magical texts ever created. And it was so powerful that kings and popes secretly commissioned translations, while publicly condemning it. The Picatrix teaches how to draw power from the planets and stars, not through prayer, not through faith, through ritual, timing, and talismans. It contains instructions for creating magical talismans tied to planetary hours, recipes for incenses that invoke celestial spirits, rituals to commune with planetary intelligences, and disturbingly, instructions for sacrifice. The text blends Greek philosophy, Persian astrology, and Arabic magic into a system that claims you can control fate itself. If you perform the ritual at the exact moment when Venus is in a specific house, with the correct incense, words, and talisman, you can attract love, wealth, or power. But the Picatrix doesn't stop there. It also describes dark magic, how to cause harm, how to bind enemies, how to summon entities that exist between the material and spiritual worlds. When it was translated into Latin in the 13th century for King Alfonso X of Spain, it spread through European courts. Occultists, alchemists, and scholars studied it in secret. The Catholic Church banned it. Possessing a copy could mean execution, but the knowledge survived, copied by hand, hidden in private libraries. Why was it so dangerous? Because it offers an alternative cosmology. It says the universe operates on mathematical, astrological principles, not divine will. You don't need God's permission, you just need knowledge, timing, and will. That terrified the church. Because if magic works through natural law, what's the point of prayer? The Picatrix contains hundreds of rituals. We'll explore the most powerful and dangerous in future episodes. But now, we travel to Brazil. Text 5, the Book of Saint Cyprian. O Livro de São Cipriano. The Book of Saint Cyprian, the most famous grimoire in Brazil and Portugal, and one of the strangest. Unlike the academic grimoires of Europe, São Cipriano is folk magic. It's a blend of Catholicism, African traditions, indigenous beliefs, and medieval sorcery. A uniquely Iberian creation. The legend says it was written by Saint Cyprian of Antioch, a sorcerer who converted to Christianity and became a bishop. Before his conversion, he mastered every form of magic known to man, and supposedly, he wrote it all down. But here's the problem. There's no single book of Saint Cyprian. There are dozens of versions, each one different. Some focus on love spells, others on curses. Some include Catholic prayers, others invoke demons. What they all share: spells for everyday problems, love, money, protection, instructions for making pacts with spirits, rituals that mix Christian and pagan elements, and warnings that the book itself is cursed. In Brazil and Portugal, it's said that reading the book will bring bad luck unless you complete a specific counter-ritual. Some versions claim the devil himself will appear if you read the last page at midnight. The Catholic Church condemned it. Priests warned parishioners that owning a copy was a mortal sin, but people kept copying it. Handwritten versions passed through families, and it became part of folk culture. Why? Because unlike the elite grimoires written for scholars and nobles, São Cipriano was for everyone: farmers, servants, ordinary people who needed magic to survive. It's still sold today in Brazil. You can buy printed versions in markets, but traditional practitioners say the printed ones don't work. The real power is in the handwritten copies. São Cipriano is a gateway into Iberian and Latin American folk magic. We'll explore its spells and history. But next, the most famous grimoire in Western occultism. Text 6, the Key of Solomon, Clavicula Salomonis. The Key of Solomon, or Clavicula Salomonis, the ultimate manual for summoning and commanding demons. According to legend, King Solomon, the wisest man who ever lived, was given a ring by God inscribed with the Tetragrammaton, the true name of God. This ring gave him absolute authority over demons and spirits. Solomon used this power to build the first temple in Jerusalem, forcing demons to labor for him. And before he died, he recorded everything he learned in a grimoire: the names of demons, their seals, how to summon them, and how to bind them to your will. The key of Solomon is that grimoire. Medieval copies exist in Latin, French, Italian, and English, and they all contain the same core knowledge, the 72 demons of the Ars Goetia, each with a name, rank, and seal, instructions for creating a magic circle of protection rituals for purification, before summoning commands to force demons to obey, and warnings about what happens if you make a mistake. The process is elaborate. You must fast for days, create ritual tools, wand, sword, pentacle, at specific astrological times, draw the circle with precise measurements, speak the demon's name and seal correctly, stand inside the circle and never step out. If done correctly, the demon appears, is bound, and must fulfill your request. If done incorrectly, the demon is free, and you are not protected. Medieval grimoires are filled with accounts of failed summonings, magicians found dead, others driven insane, some simply disappeared. The Church condemned the Key of Solomon as the most dangerous book ever written. Possession meant death. But copies survived, hidden, studied by occultists for centuries. Modern ceremonial magicians still use it. The seals, the invocations, the methods. Does it work? Those who practice it say yes. Skeptics say it's psychology. But the fact remains, people have used this book for 800 years, and some of them got what they asked for. Each of the 72 demons deserves investigation. We'll summon their histories. But first, we conclude with the oldest knowledge of all. Text 7. The Corpus Hermeticum. The Corpus Hermeticum, the foundation of Western esotericism, alchemy, astrology, magic, Kabbalah, Freemasonry. All trace their roots to this text. It's attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, thrice great Hermes, a legendary figure who was either the Egyptian god Thoth, a philosopher priest who lived in ancient Egypt, or a mythical synthesis of Egyptian and Greek wisdom. The texts themselves are dialogues between Hermes and his disciples, revealing the secrets of the cosmos, the soul, and the divine. Core teachings include, as above, so below. The microcosm reflects the macrocosm. Humanity contains a divine spark. Through gnosis, knowledge, one can ascend to godhood. The material world is an illusion. True reality is spiritual. During the Renaissance, the Corpus Hermeticum was rediscovered and translated into Latin. Scholars believed it predated Moses and Plato, that it contained the original wisdom given to humanity by the gods. The Catholic Church was conflicted. Some teachings aligned with Christianity, others did not. The idea that humans could become divine through knowledge, heresy. But it was too late. The Hermetic philosophy spread. It influenced alchemists seeking the philosopher's stone, Kabbalists mapping the tree of life, Rosicrucians building secret societies, and Freemasons encoding wisdom into their rituals. Later, scholars determined the texts were written in the 2nd to 3rd century AD, not ancient Egypt. But that didn't diminish their impact, because the Corpus Hermeticum offers something Christianity doesn't: direct knowledge of the divine without intermediaries, no priests, no church, just you, your mind, and the universe. That's why it was dangerous, not because it was evil, but because it was empowering. The Hermetic tradition is vast: alchemy, Kabbalah, tarot. We'll decode its symbols. But now, you know the texts that shape the occult. 7 texts, 7 keys to knowledge that empires tried to lock away. Some challenge religious authority. Others promise power over the supernatural. And a few offer a cosmology where humanity isn't powerless, where knowledge, ritual, and will can reshape reality. That's why they were forbidden. Not because they're lies, but because they're alternatives, alternative histories, alternative spiritualities, alternative sources of power, and those in authority, whether kings, priests, or scholars, have always feared alternatives. But books don't die. They hide. They're copied, they're translated, and eventually, they resurface. We've only touched the surface. Each text contains layers of meaning, ritual, and controversy. In future episodes, we'll open these books page by page, decode their symbols, test their claims, and uncover why, after centuries, they're still studied, still feared, and still powerful. In the next episode of the Shadow Archives, we're investigating real demonic possessions, cases documented by doctors, priests, and skeptics, and you'll see why even science can't explain them. If you're hungry for forbidden knowledge, subscribe and hit the bell. Drop a comment. Which text shocked you most? Or which one would you actually read? The archives are open, the texts are waiting, and knowledge once learned cannot be unlearned. I'll see you in the next one.